Hi guys and happy new year. Now this is the first video of 2023 and my first video for 2 weeks now, and that wasn't by design. I've actually been pretty ill for the last couple of weeks, but I feel a bit more recuperated now, and actually weirdly enough I started feeling better on New Year's Day, so maybe that's a sign of things to come for 2023. But we are going to start it back off with the Audi S3, and if the last video you haven't caught yet, I'll put a video link in the top right hand corner. But basically we've got the S3 into the workshop and we realised for some reason the shells on cylinder 2 bottom end were missing, which was causing the engine to make that lumpy, horrible sound. Now, I don't know what's happened to this engine. I think various people have actually looked at it in the past, maybe tried doing something with it. I have no idea. And I think I said in the last video, is it worth rebuilding or just replacing? Now, for the fact that I don't know what's happened to this engine in the past, there may have been a fault previously that someone's rectified, and I mean, if the shells are missing off the bottom end and someone's done that by accident, then God knows what else has happened to this engine. The scoring on the camshaft indicates probably lack of oil at some point as well, so the oil pump might be defective. And because of just all these unknowns, I'm not willing to rebuild this engine, so I am going to replace it. And that's mainly just for my peace of mind as well, because I don't really want to put it together and then just in the back of my mind I'm just thinking, how long is this engine going to last? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? And obviously when I do end up selling the car, the prospective buyer isn't going to really want to have that ticking time bomb potentially either. So we are just going to replace the engine. So in today's video, guys, we will be taking the engine out. Now I haven't sourced one yet, a new engine. I've got a couple of ideas of what to do about getting one, but as of yet I haven't finalized that. So in today's video, guys, we are just going to be taking the engine out with the gearbox, and to do that we're going to just take all the front end off, headlights, crash panel, intercooler, radiator, everything, and just drag the engine out through the front. And I did put on my channel New Year's Eve, no, was it Christmas? Oh, I don't even know. The whole last 2 weeks have been a bit blurred, to be honest. But I have bought a second-hand engine for the R8. Quick update. So there it is. I went to view it a couple of weeks ago and ended up buying it. I will explain in the next R8 video, which I don't know when it'll be, maybe after the S3, about exactly what we're going to do with this. But just to let you know, I have a new second-hand engine. So we're going to start off by removing the wheels and the front bumper, and to do that we need to remove the wheel arch liners. As you can see, I've already removed it slightly from one side when I was checking the engine for turning over. So I need to remove the other wheel arch liner as well and detach the bolts. There's about 2 bolts on the inside on the wing and 1 bolt that goes up into the wing, and once you've done that there's about 3 or 4 underneath as well, and there's about 3 on the top, and once you've done those the whole thing can just pull forward. And remember to disconnect your wiring and your headlight washer hoses too. Now we need to remove the headlights. This was a bit tricky because there was a bolt that I couldn't find and the whole thing wasn't coming out, but once I found it, yeah, there was only about 3 or 4 bolts holding it in and the whole thing then just comes out. Same with the other side as well. And then I'm going to move on to my crash bar, which is 4 bolts, and I removed 3 of them and loosely undone 1 from each side, just so I can pull the whole lot carrier forward, so I can start detaching my coolant hoses, my intercooler pipes, and also there's a few coolant hose brackets that I needed to remove as well because it's bolted to it, and just by pulling it forward like that it just enabled me a bit more room. And also there's a couple of AC pipes as well. So once I've removed all those, we can go ahead and remove the last 2 bolts from the lock carrier and pull the whole thing off like this. So that is the whole front panel now removed. It wasn't too bad. It all came away, as you can see here, with the crash bar, intercooler, radiator, fans, some of the pipes as well, horns as well, all intact. Yeah, not too bad. So now with that removed, I'm going to lift it up in the air and concentrate on, we have the prop shaft, we've got drive shafts, we've got a rear dog bone mount, we've got a few other bits under downstairs that I can't remember at the moment. But once we've got those off, it should be pretty plain sailing. We've got the ECU as well, so I'm actually going to take all the wiring out with the engine like I did with the R8, so it will be just a case of, I mean the ECU is only here anyway, so I've just got to detach this and just detach all the wiring from the car and bring it out with the engine as a whole. And yeah, there shouldn't be too much to do. So let's get up in the air and start stripping the drive shafts. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is put the sump and the oil pump back in. A, just so it doesn't drip oil all over me, and B, because we don't need this engine anymore anyway, so I might as well just cover it up and be done with it. Now we're going to remove the drive shafts as well, which is, I think it's 6 M10 bolts from each side. Remove all those, get those out the way, and then we've got to undo our wishbones, which is 3 bolts on each side, and we can just pull the bottom arm down, pull our suspension struts out, and that means we can then pull our drive shafts out as well, which is 1 bolt on each side at the end there, and then we can just push the whole thing forward and drag the drive shafts out each side. Right, so just looking underneath now, that is both drive shafts removed from the front. I probably didn't have to remove them, but it was just 1 extra bolt and it was just a bit easier with them out the way. Prop shaft, I've removed the 3 10mm bolts there. I'm just gonna leave it in situ and just pull the engine away from it. I've just removed the downpipe bolts here, which bolted to the subframe just for a little bit more flexibility when I have to remove it off the turbo. What else have I done? Removed the 2 bolts here for the dog bone mount, which means now the gearbox and engine are free at the bottom. It just leaves the 2 engine and gearbox mounts from the top. I think that's pretty much it from underneath. Can't think of anything at the moment. I'm sure there's a couple of bits of wiring that I've missed off, but yeah. So let's bring it back down, and we need to start removing the gear linkage cables, battery tray from the top, and yeah, start getting the wiring undone as well. And here's a very boring clip of me removing the battery and the battery tray. There's not much more to say. Right, so now we've got most of our mechanical things all disconnected. We're going to concentrate on the wiring now, and there's a few pipes as well we need to do. So I've just unplugged the ECU from here, which you can see, and we've got our one of our main looms. Oh, I've lost it. Gone. Oh, I've put it up here. So as you can see, I've already swung it out the way and rested it on top of the engine. This is the majority of our sensors and wires on the engine, so we're just going to take it out with it. There's a few things I can't take with me, and that will be the alternator cable, the big battery cable as well, so I need to unbolt it from the alternator and just get it out the way. The starter motor I have actually disconnected, so I'm going to leave that in there. And then we've just got a few things like gearbox wiring, we can disconnect that, get that out the way. And then we've just got things like, there's a few other sensors that won't come out with the engine, just like the AC sensor here, that can just be disconnected. And then we've got some pipes, like an aircon pipe here we need to disconnect, a couple of fuel lines, and we've just got a couple of vacuum hoses here as well, get them out the way. A couple of coolant lines that go into the heater matrix, they can be disconnected too, and a few bits of wiring here. So we've just got like cat sensor here as well, so we can just disconnect it from here. So it's just loads of little things. Again, I'm going to put it on a time lapse and I'll talk you through what I'm doing. And here I'm just disconnecting a few coolant pipes that go between the chassis and the engine, and then my camera starts going blurry again for absolutely no reason, so I've cut the footage short. But yeah, removing that last AC pipe and a few more electrical connections. Now I'm just going to have a final checks before we get the engine crane under the car, and I'm just going to go around and look at the bottom just to see that there's a clear gap between the engine and the car all the way around, obviously apart from our engine mounts that we've still got to disconnect. But it is looking good. I can't find any cables that cross over from the engine to the rest of the car. I've got my cat off as well. That was actually really easy. The bolt undone perfectly. Literally took about 5 seconds. Swung that out of the way, look. And you can see that's just resting against the subframe now. But there's clear gaps all around, and the prop's the only thing that's semi in. But that's just because I didn't have enough room to pull it all the way out. But once I pull the engine out, that will just flop off. But no, we look to be good. So I think we can get it down on the ground, clear some space, and get the crane under, and just, yeah, take this engine out. Right, let's just take the strain. Try and lift it up. I've already cracked off the bolt, so I should just undo. Right, that one's pretty much undone. Oh, it's actually trying to go up. It's a bit weird. Right, let's remove this one. So that's the gearbox side loose. I think we can come down a little bit actually, because I think I've gone up too much. Right, that's it. Let's remove this last one. There we go. Right, it should be loose. If we just drop it down a little bit, hopefully we can pull it out. There we go. Just don't want to get the pipes caught, that's all. We look good. Beautiful, look at that. Didn't even do anything wrong. Didn't leave the cable in. Happy with that. Right, swing this out of the way. Come on. There we go. Beautiful. And there we have it. Engine out. And there you can see, look, engine all out, and look, it's quite bare. There's not really much to detach. I mean, that is the one benefits of taking all the wiring out from with the engine, because trying to get to some of these sensors in the engine with it in situ is just near on impossible and would be very time consuming. So that is why we take the whole lump out like it is like that. So now what we're going to do now is disconnect the gearbox. And to do that, yeah, starter motor off and then just unbolt it all. It should be fairly straightforward. We got the diff as well. So yeah, we'll do that, and then we've got the engine separate from the gearbox. I cut short the filming on the gearbox because, as you can see, it is swinging and it is triggering even me watching this back, so I'm sure you guys don't want to see it. Basically, I've just undone all the bolts that hold the gearbox to the engine, which is about 5. Literally what this tool was made for. Super long Allen key. Yay! No fluid was worth it. So, it should then just fall off if I lift it up. Like that. Flywheel looks good. So there we go, gearbox separated from the engine. I was umming and ahhing about separating the diff. I was unsure if any fluid would come out. Luckily, no fluid came out, so it was well worth removing the diff just for ease of getting it off. Actually, mainly getting it on the diff will pose the biggest problem. But yeah, in the end, that was a good call. Gearbox off, now separated completely from the engine. So I can put that to one side, and we can now strip the engine and go ahead and replace it, or it depends on the state of the new engine I get, how built up it comes. It may come with turbo, it may not, in that manifold, alternators, etc. But anyway, we will be stripping this down to a bare engine and swapping over what parts we do need onto the new engine. But that will be in the next video, guys. I know I said at the beginning of the video, at the time I hadn't actually sourced a new engine. Well, in the last sort of 10 minutes, I think I've sourced a new engine. And as always, I haven't done it the easy way. I haven't just bought an engine with a 30-day warranty that's going to be fine just to fit. That would be a bit boring. I've done something a little bit different, which should be actually a very interesting video, but I will confirm more on Instagram, etc. And obviously when that video comes out, you'll understand why. So that is it for today's video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, and also follow me on Instagram at saving_salvage. The next video will be on the R8, and we'll be stripping down that new engine because I'm going to rebuild it. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. That was a big breath. Cheers, guys.